Oh yeah.
No more questions.
That and the Nijun give a top here. Nijun give a Jumzen, Nijun give a top, Nijun give a test. I do the bit I was shooting some door, subject on my bit I was shooting design. Say we should change.
So, in terms of cultivating the first principal path, the definite emergence, there is the reason to do so, the method, and then the sign or limit that one has generated it is clearly laid out in terms of these categories and also the verses in the text.
That do you Lamrim Shargon Jamina D. Conla any 60 Martin? Any Yundeshi Yuji. Yunding Yushi to switch the balance at 60 turn. Any some of that you know, and Lamrim Nagi. Shinny Dembe, Pen, Madembe Nimic, Shinny Dinzu, Sambe Dinzu, Jove Dinzu, Yema Shagomji kept him, Shinny Dinzu, Lamjizawa Shinny Dinzu, Tegatula, some logic down. And it dance a jailer, and the Tarbase, and the dinner and the teach to a camera remember that you must watch Milan in the digestion and the data set. Take the turn, and take the digestion tamje. Midaveran Shigenyares, Marina Midavores, and Midavodandi, and Kejiki Jordan Shires, and the Jiped Danzi, Seveseva, Daseveseva, and the Tumiji Namdose, and get Shevnashin, she said, that she, Mone, she was a Susuji Dubna, Dubdaji, and Sare, some Tavet or this, some down to be na, Dicodula. The Lamlin come to you chance Jani in a Kurim Digna. The listing I need your race.
So, in order to foster that understanding in terms of the method of producing the renunciation, when you go through the this text, the three principal minds or three principal aspects of path, it is good to combine it with a glance view on the graduated stages of the path, the Lamrim, as are contained in the Foundation of All Good Qualities, beginning with the correct reliance on the spiritual friend. So one would go through those categories of Guru devotion, the benefits of correct reliance, the demerits for not doing so, and then latterly, how to rely in thought and deed. Then in that context, having correctly relied on the Guru, the spiritual friend, one then reflects on going for liberation, the liberated state, in a practical way, thinking that just as all compound things are a result of cause and condition, cause and effect, also oneself is a product. Oneself is a product. And in that notion, any thoughts you have of self which are non-valid, particularly these thoughts that are inappropriate, once they're cleared away, then the possibility of liberation starts to manifest. And in this light, you do this glance view of the Lamrim, this glance meditation, let's say, with a view to liberation. No.
De la Tick to you that Tick Din Shigi, some that down to na Tambo. So I should have tick the Dotona and Dotona, we are let on you must save it, let on you monum that drill. Tomanijika, what you said, the 60 days some down there. Another driver. Chimiji namdo drova yes ne tie zama se ne danzi gi drova se du ne seva di ne ko tawre di su toba chi gore na ne dongbani ji to dongni to ge le to ne seva chi gi ore se ne di chi dongni to le sam de sta di ne chanju sem tango chanju sem kuno chanju sem de sam dan dongni da ol sam de sta tu sevina tanda oge ji tenjo tenji da ye de ne yu chimbe lang gren ba sin ba cha ro
And also, if one motivation is for all sentient beings, namely bodhicitta, the awakening thought. And because your mind is conjoined with such an altruism at the beginning, you also reflect on emptiness by means of Nagarjuna's verse, such as the verse at the outset of the Root of Wisdom. Destroy karma and disturbing emotions. Karma and disturbing emotions come from elaborations of true existence, and these cease in emptiness. So here one is recognizing the need to first stop these elaborations of true existence, which are mental constructs, and then when they stop, self-grasping also ceases. Here you're recognizing cessation, the cessation of those elaborations of true existence, but in order to do that, when it says they cease in emptiness, here you're cultivating a valid path mind to make those elaborations stop. So you've motivated here with bodhicitta, but you're also reflecting on that other principle, emptiness. No.
지난데 타와집에 탑시고 올라왔나봐.
Yeah.
이중집에 탑시나리.
But-
타와 되니로 집에 탑시나리.
Yeah, but what we're about initially is cultivating this first principle mind of renunciation, definite emergence. We could say it is the mind striving for liberation. Better to say that. No.
다디네 디 탑들 가서는 텐조니가 칠을 놓으면 일로 보면 세나시도 성도 디
Yeah.
텐조니가 칠을 놓으면 텐조니가 람리는 게네 주중국의 람 대화 텐조 치워면도 레준데 치워 아니 잠로서 이제 디나나 상당 돈나 아니 야고요래.
Yes. So what we're doing initially, what is the method then by which we manifest the uncontrived renunciation? Verse 4, leisure and fortune are hard to find, life's not long. So here, in the keeping with the graduated stages of the path, we are reflecting initially on the perfect human support, what it means, also death and impermanence and a refuge. We are reflecting on these. No.
텐조니가 텐조 대화제 조주다 말한도 밀류된들에 와. 다 텐조스 추치하게 아니 대화 요방 말한도 단다 추치야 그거라고도. 아니 답변은 튼루다 지 냐와 이다서 통고요 뭐 튼루도 통고다 튼루를 추치야 그거면도 앞에는 기대단다. 그래서 지고 대대열들에 거 가르가르라고요다 가르가르 거고이다 다지네 거고이래 뭐 미시지게 상담인도 와체다 딜레하고 가는데 밀류된데 디 가르시기도 디 가르레도 삼다 수수동에 수수세 탑란도 와잖아 제가 밀류된데 다시 뭐 쉬어지러 와잖아 대어지 조주 참여 밀류된 아니 텐조니가 왔어요 아니 텔라로메스도 니 치왕에와 남진님이 집에서 처음에도 강연님만 뱀바서 치워미대고 삼나딜랐다
Yeah.
텐조된제도 치워미대고 니디에 삼당고 요레스라.
Yeah. Here we have to understand these initial levels of reflecting on being human, the difficulty of obtaining human support because it is endowed with 8 freedoms and 10 richnesses. And it is under that pretext one has the opportunity to engage with Dharma. Let's leave alone the hell births and hungry ghost births realms, but the animals we can see, for example, the dog, although Dharma words may be taught and said, difficult for the dog to know the meaning, he might only get the sound, whereas as humans, with a human basis, we can reflect on what's being said and perhaps reflect, is that the method to stop suffering? So the rarity of being human is also accentuated. And then where it says life is not long, this brings the second of our 2 reflections on death and impermanence. The fact that death is definite, its time is uncertain, but at the time of death only Dharma insight matters. So right there, perfect human rebirth, death and impermanence, we think on them. No.
어디 삼로담에 타들라 삼로 가르려고 그래서 와 텐조된지는 처음에도 삼로담인데 yila kombe스 두 네 수수 셈로 곰리 체온두 안 타마데 가르잖아 아니 체디 아 낭셰도 서와 체디 대조니 가서는 yila 콤베 체디 낭셰도 체디게 아니 대화든데 중로잖아 디지든데 중로잖아 네 깔레든데 전에 체디랑아 대우든데 중 그랬어요 체디게 네 낭셰도 지다 지당은 체디게 나와다 낭셰다 용거래 될래 숙치와 된다 배 체디지고 전혀 상단대와데 도트비나 아니 텐조텐지 예 아니 곰베다 고den라오데
Purpose, yeah.
치오미다고 고미하다 곰베 고den데르미 치오미다고 고네 아니 시나라야서 되게 말에 셈디 아체디가 단다 초민도스다 딜레 하고에다 체디페 튼두리샤스 딜레 타르미 겨 치만라 삼노시탄 고도스 레운데 치마 튼유 일로레 양고도 알아데
Okay, future life. So, where it says then, leisure and fortune are hard to find, life's not long. Think on it constantly, meaning that this is the method that we need to be habituated with, accustomed to reverse clinging solely for this life. Yeah. So just not thinking, oh, if I do this in this life, I'll be happy. You know, it is okay to have some well-being in this life, but what we're trying to reverse is going solely for that, solely for the happiness of this life. So in order to reverse those appearances in this life, or clinging to them, we need to think on death and impermanence. And here, death and impermanence meditation is not to instill fear in us, but to try and steer us towards thinking on future lives.
네 먼저 곰데스 잡나라
Yeah.
곰데스 잡다 곰 간데 잡으려나 당봉은 다 우중 곰 잡지 삼바데 슬러서 와 당보 네 우대야 스스 수분하게 체제 가려서 수부 차단을 주된 차단 파템 버시 디스테는 야말라길래게 가만히 있으면 곰지 저기 제나 네 셈나라 템바 되그라 저런서
Let's now reflect on these points with meditation, taking a few moments to relax the mind with breathing first. And once you're relaxed, just be aware when you breathe in, does the breath pervade all of the body or part of it? Be aware of that. And then in that light, it might be better to stabilize these points we're looking at.
아야다 그런저 다리 밀류딘 야고든 레질레로 하나저 배 치단 심배 강바당 치우다 주질류딘 레메이나 최 지야 상무다 그거면도 알아 하나저 밀류딘 딘데지 야고 상무다 연주든데 야고 니샤 상가오 공로 오늘 디다디 된다는 바지 지기 상무다로
Reflect that now one has a perfect human support. We are not dogs, cats, ducks, or birds, under which case we wouldn't get the chance to reflect on Dharma. But the fact that we have obtained human basis, rejoice in that, and in that sense, make it meaningful.
나 류덴디 아니 치원이 예래로 하나 참물로 다 주켈링이 주켈만이 참마 시에래 다 가지 시대에 하고야 말해 아니 집에서 내 다가난 다 신다지게 균쟁구 타지고 숨세던데 열에다 두서 삼는 단 tum나니 야고 남린 남린 sabje 마시샤지 도tum나 야고 열어 그러니까 때문에 그 nen가 차로 어디 자오숨디로 시왕이 남진이 치외체 아니 가르 핑기도 가르 잡려 샤기도 어디 삼다는데 당에 뒤중에 쉬우직 자치 못지대다 딜레로 지레샤다 세대간데다고 초면도 딜레 당에 지마 된데 예배 때 딜레를 하고 된다 지다 지구도 삼데 삼다 tum나 야고 열어서
So this basis of human support, we know whether we are into Dharma or not, death will come. The time of death we do not know. And then at the time of death, what is of importance? If one can reflect on these 3 points as the 3 roots and 3 reasons, making those 9 points in the Lamrim, it is good. If not, just think on the essential ones, that death is definite, the time we don't know, and finally, at death we need to reflect what will be of benefit and what do we have to leave behind. And in that context, really think, are you making the most of this life meaningful with the essence of being human?
어디 삼다는데 신이 가와도서래 대 삼을 땅고래로 대 삼마다네 야갈 돼야다 삼단 누구래 겨가야 말어 신이 가와져다 겨는 거고요래 땅이라 지 당신다 냐와다 이다도 하모거나 미다 둔둔이 하고 오더라 din이지를 겨 타줘래다 야면은 밀리지 그래 야면은 둔두지 그래 둔두러지를 메기서면 딩즈 민도 하다는 치러버다 심이도 주도들의 메기선배 이제다 딩주 개미도 하잖아. 어디서 삼단도네 하고 요래서.
It is also good to reflect that after death, where we will go. Where will we go? Of course, one could think on, having a good rebirth or an unfavorable one, but the point is, a rebirth must be taken. And leaving aside these realms we might not be familiar with, Pure Lands, hells, hungry ghosts, just looking at the 2 of humans and animals, there's no guarantee there.
자디라 니제르무지 된데 송라 신행인도 미지 데미지 디지죠 군조스니 디지 점도시니 디 간다는 랑도 수시둘라라서 다 디제라 제단디 점도 상당고 신행인도 미지 딩미도 년도를 미지베 딩즈요 말와 아니 그지 딜라 껴야르이나 딜레 껴야 누버스에는 군조스나 다디네 제단 다 낭바 차다데 두스 차고 그래 신행 민송그 동에라 지시다네 군조스나 겹스도야 고외 동에라 지시라네 군조스나 겹스도 샘제 탐제 동에기 지고라 지시다는데 군조스나 겹스도다 상다제 잠돌리고 그래 다 잠도 조디 조조 잠도 당기 딘시셔와데레 다 조디 수수 최 개와 최 지야다 미게와 마치야 될 도구여레 다둑대로
And in that context of future lives in Lama Tsongkhapa states in the short Lamrim, there's no guarantee that at the time of death one will not go to the lower migration. seeing that, please bless me to take good direction in the three jewels of refuge by knowing what to adopt and what to abandon in terms of cause and effect. Here, what's being said is that, this is bringing in the notion of taking a refuge, because there's no guarantee that if you go to a difficult migration, there's protection there. So the thought or the method for that protection, safe direction in Buddha Dharma terms, is that, there is this notion of the possibility of unfavorable rebirth, and then even being in a favorable one, that's still not given. And then even thinking further for all sentient beings in the notion of refuge. So, of course, it is talking about the Four Truths, but essentially what to adopt and what to abandon in terms of virtue, non-virtue. No.
다 겨워 채월 때네 잠도 채월 때네 겨워 치면 밀루터베이나 아니 밀루터베이네 기브르스 도에다 sometimes 당한서 시에 뭐랑 하는지 밀루딘 톱대여로 동네로 냐냐래도 동네로 냐냐 다 단도 뜻을 되죠 당하랑서 따다다 동네 시오지 밀래야 누가 제단도 거와디 인소리 된로리 거와제베이네 동네로 냐냐래샤 다 딜레타베 타와지다 토고도 삼제네 상고된 레실리 투비나 교딩기 방그림바 델리기 오레스로
That might be very well that you again secure a human rebirth due to virtue and taking refuge. But is it enough? We are human, but we know we have difficulties and suffering. Just look at oneself and others, and one can relate to that. So therefore, one needs to go beyond that cycle of existence. Because whether you are born in the lower realms or upper realm, by very nature, that is unsatisfactory suffering. Hence comes the thought, striving for the state of liberation. Here, we bring in the middle scope, reflection, and goal. Yeah, so I must be... here, essentially, I must be liberated from the uncontrolled cycle of birth and death.
다디 자와디 디레다 텐조와 텐조니가 텔러놈에 일로 코메세 나시도 사데게 아니 규충을 남지ren 봐 디나나 두두고 요래다 찾아라
Yeah, so fourth verse down where it says leisure and fortune are hard to find, life's not long, think on it constantly, stop desire for this life. This is in keeping with the initial scope, meaning and purpose.
딜라 삼노도 데다나야 오래 일하고메 세대 낭시도 세도와 딜라 낭신도 슬라나 페나 나와 세대 나와 용거로 봐 아니 디 셴바디 다디 때 띵사부도래 낭시 지당게다 내가 지야데 조 세대기 많이 봐 치매치디 임바서로지 땅거 좀진 찌그래 다이나야 세대기 나와 용거로 와가지고 땅아 지지지 많이 다 세대기 또 그 담숨 짠짠게 지금 나와라지 나와도 용거라다 다디 맞음바제 되나야 도나지 그래 배제디 낭신도 세코다 예 잠나 디가마 테스 띵사브로 시도고요
There's a point in the second line where it says think on it constantly, stop desire for this life, but actually in the Tibetan, it is stop clinging to this life. Here, it's important to understand the difference between working in this life and then clinging to what this life can offer. So, for example, if you are attached or you cling to name, reputation, and wealth, that prevents what we're going for. So it's important to understand the stop desire for this life means stop clinging to these things. No.
다든 누가디야 양친네제 달로 쉬우 콘데 네 나와다 셴바니가 가려야 되더라.
But as one develops on the path, what are given up are not only the appearances and not only the clingings, but also the appearances abandoned as well. They are subdued.
다드네 니바디 렌데밀로 코베동에 양스 치메나시에 도스데 다데 당경도 검자나시.
Gladilla.
여와치마 mondolam jinge song 동에라 지시다 군조선을 잡스토 그래서 개와야 고체비나 여와치마 mondolam이 미르된 토고요래. 아니 레 개와체월네 드부대와 미르된 다 미르된다 할르된데 토베이네 동에제 냐르샤 코와딜라 동에냐 동에딜레 타베 타와 아니 전진예고도 선데 치매가 나셔도 도로다.
The next two lines are highlighting what we just reflected on, that by thinking of the infallibility of cause and effect, clinging to future lives is also reversed. We talked about independence on taking refuge in practicing virtue, that we can obtain the birth of either a human or a god, but that in itself is not enough because you're still suffering in that constraint of future life. So then go for the state of liberation. No.
타와드니 일로시잖아. 아니 니중계베 체. 다 숨바디 니중계베 체. 람 니중계베 체. 딱 체스도 다가 저런 상담단 딘데질레나 아니 저런 람 그런 심디 람 오고 차레. 세시고라. 세부시부진 송고다라. 타젠 송고다라.
So once if you have that, we come to the third of our qualifications of renunciation when we mentioned before that. What is the sign or the limit that one has produced this uncontrived, unfabricated mind of renunciation? When you strive for that liberation, your mind has become that.
세상다 대콘라야지 세대기 나셰 치매 나셰 도야가 삼로 양야야 땅인데 코에 핀절라야다지 예미 깨지다면 겨워시 다대다 코에 핀절대다 야고래 말라든지 중로시 삼배 삼로 깨지다면 매겨베이나 매겨서 마세 딜레 도데 아니 니단 체 삼로 가도 담베이나베 타와 되니일로 바시 강아 슈슈게 줄레 깨베이나 그와 타와 되니일로시 다 타와시 톰나 야서레 삼다 디메시 님고민도 삼 카르다나 베 타와 잖냐 그 삼로 다요니 근데 톰데고 로베 슈크침보 요된죠 된데 그로 베주마 마인 바지 요나 아니 니중제베 체레 손다 니닝조 코데보도 알아.
So then having thought on those two methods again and again of reversing clinging to this life and reversing to any notion of happiness in future lives, then that definite emergence is so unfabricated that not even for an instant, not 1 second, would you cling to the happiness, or the temporal happinesses of samsara, thinking, if only I'm going to get it. So in that sense, not only reversing non-virtues, but day and night there is the thought, only the thought in one's mind of striving for that liberated state. And anything other than that will be seen as having no essence at all. You constantly yearn. That's the sign of liberation. No.
세대가 나셰 지면나셰 네 도다 나셰도다 나셰도다 가르상담이나 디 콤지 제연디 아니 코에 핀조스디다 지또 그 담년다르와 그래서 디선달 배전치고요와 딘데 가르 상담타베나 이메미 제버스 아지 데 미들레 딘데 충상 알레 딘데 지요로 챤나스와 야 아니 미디 테슬라 뉴장 아 테슬라 중으로 챤나스 가르 미디 iPhone 11 13 14 뉴장 아 데 중으로 챤나스 닝무게요 말해서 되더라 강바 밀레니아 강바 잡샹 아 딘데 중으로 챤나스 다 딘데 엔 미디오 게다 첨부레셔 점밀링 아 딘데 중으로 챤나스 미디 닝제부터 아 딘데 중으로 챤나스 딘데게 이메 zan me yo ro
Yeah.
ke ji le nga den de ji chung lo shin de ya wo re sha sam sam lo ji te zan ma se ane yin dan chen kun de ta wa de ji lo ko le ta we ta wa de ji lo dang gi ta wo she ma zo ale dan ji se be se wa de ta wa she ba
Yep.
rubbish 상마 육사 조지 시에서
Yeah.
근데 지연다 야고다 가서 rubbish 날 거르게 대대를 좀 근데 저는 아니 이좀 깨버려서 된 중나디 좀 깨버려 식디 코데부터 알아
So when it goes on to say, when you've meditated thus and feel not even a moment's wish for the things of cyclic life, meaning that one has reflected on the things of this life and not clung to them and not even been attached to the notion of a good rebirth in future lives. And in that sense, understanding the lack of essence of it. So that when you not even for a moment would you be thinking, so-and-so got that, I want it. They got an iPhone 13 or 14, I better get one. In that case, you think there's no essence to those things. If they got a nice house, I want one. They're famous, I also want to be famous. They're beautiful, so may I be. Not only for not 1 second do you not think like that, but day and night you're striving for the liberated state. As we mentioned, we recognize that state as totally uprooting, self-grasping, getting rid of all that rubbish we talked about, whereas for us, we're just cycling in the rubbish all the time. And smelling it as well.
Pena simdi tadawa gana de sim tadawa gana de na de shiva yore manzo tiyun sim na ge ji anxiety da depression du mancha deve ne ju di samata manta ne yon de da ro
Okay.
and anxious du mancha maung be sam ro samta cha ne yon de da ti ngana sam nyam yon yor ba de samta da simdi deve ne ju de chu ma da de tadawa gana ka ju de du devi na 아니 셈라 타와 마음보다 대번이니 탈제 아니 다더워 되그래 단단가서 뒤에 탈고 그래라
Yeah. So, for those of us that are new to these concepts of meditating and thinking on liberation, we could say that the mind that is able to abide in the present moment has a degree of peace, because normally it is independence on, fixating too much on the past that one gets depression, this kind of heaviness because you're thinking about the past. Or if you're worried about the future, that can bring like anxieties. But if you're able to remain in the present moment and leave the past and future, that could be peaceful.
내가 그 탈바
This is like a temporary liberation.
대지그러다 아니 찍네 단다 두저레 배나 낭바게 아니 측측주 셰교 말해라라 이 유용하나서 미라롱된 측두자 랍댕기요나
Alay.
디 라바들 데네 아니 라마지와 셰마지와 소더와
Yeah.
측신이데 파직 로사나 주되면더와 측두에 파직 셰에서는 중요하면더와 주주직 로사나 파직 로사나 요하면더와 다디 인디장가라 제단 측디 셰사다 로 파체 다 디네가블라 아니 가르저레 삼로디 다오 나 측주 셰기면 도마진데 측주 마마라로 아마 디르네 측주 마기면라데 아니 디 담샤베나 다라나 시워요로 측주 마마와라 데네 땡엘라 파직 측두자셰베 타고 제불 데네 라마지와 셴마지와서 동해지 용도 하고 다 디르네 측디 중나베 측 야고셰로 펜도 테마잖아 꼭 가가 대샤베나 당기 측주 셰베 동해지 용구면도 타르고도 하죠
Lib.
디 딘델 삼단에도 와
So what was mentioned about keeping the mind in the present moment is a type of liberation by thinking on time. Anyway, in terms of, there's another mode of thought that in Buddha Dharma we try to not speak harshly, because if we speak harshly to others, it can upset their mind, and once the words have come from the mouth, you can't retract it. So it is good to think before one speaks, and not to speak harshly, to resolve to be silent unless there's something beneficial to say, which is what Shakyamuni Buddha did, because then one's changing one's speech to, harsh to something of benefit. And what happens is, when you make a resolve to not speak harshly to someone, you're protecting, there's a type of liberation there, because it's protecting self and other from the result. Yes.
제단디 하나도 다스 검자변데 수수게 디경게 검시된데 주가 직다 가져오래 딘데 아니 다른 지상갈라 다디 칼레네 타로라야 돼 냄잔 소야지면 톱드가라 람사 매직 템베 소리 타고야 용서 말했고 칼레 잡네래 무투지 칼레 검시 수제 용야지 인사래로.
Now, when you meditate and set about to change your habits, the change of mental attitude is not something that comes suddenly by magic, but it is a step-by-step process, so that with tireless effort, result comes. Yes.
제산단다 양이중 계단데 대전 식디 코베 동해라 텐데글로 동해라 닝고메바 통 텐데글로
Yeah,
두 삼로 직단단 지요래서.
Yeah, and now in terms of cultivating uncontrived wish to emerge from samsara or renunciation, seeing that samsara has no essence, that's important.
제가 좀 전에 당보거나 동해시고래 소야데 가서나 동해를 타베 타버터고래 해서 태어나 다가나 숨고요래로.
Yeah, and that's why Shakyamuni Buddha first said no suffering, the meaning that go for liberation, right? Get out of it.
어디다 이중계에 채세야데. 디다 주딩기 총고디 나는 뒤로다.
Yeah, so that sign of having that first valid principle mind of renunciation in line with also middle scope.
다드네 슝우신이와디 찬주쌤로. 참바셔다 이중디 도체.
So now we come to the main part of the text that deals with altruistic mind of bodhicitta, having gone through the foundation of emancipation.
다들라 찬주세고베 균제다 아니 찬주쌤디 시다 제주시제 다도 자와 마코는 자와 시샤도 생나라.
Yeah, so if we look at those, the way it's set forth, what is the reason for cultivating the heart of awakening of bodhicitta, and then what is like the method and sign and so forth.
다 찬주쌤고 균제 가래라빈데 다 대공랑 이중의 쌤 깨로 알아.
Yeah.
이중의 쌤 넘버 타고지 깨요르들래. 찬주쌤게 마심바이나 아니 타르와 녀제베 타르와직다 타르와 내가 타르와직 토버메시지 수수직보 타바시 토버메시지 심지 담제를 디기도야게 부순섭에 타와직다 부순섭에 대와직 토버요 말레스.
맞아요.
닝이중데 텐데 부순섭에 주도고요 말레스. 다 부순섭에 주직 타도기다 산제지고 마스 지기어다 남바 산제베 딜라야다 니 토베야 주디 조르스나 아니 찬주그 셈레스 최선 균제인데 인자 안 찬주 셈데다 먼저 지고요레스 균제 셰레로.
What is the reason then for generating firstly altruistic heart of bodhicitta? The definite emergence must be pure in the sense that it has to be conjoined with altruism. Otherwise, one's liberation will be temporary in the sense that it's just for you, just your own liberation, but not all living beings. But if it's pure and your goal is Buddhahood and bringing beings to Buddhahood, then your renunciation must be joined with bodhicitta.
직들이 다 니네 나라서 대송도와 대화 동해 텐들로 야 동해이랑 뭐 봐줘 대화 되냐 대화랑 대화 다다 좀 상한서 먼저 상마 동해 되고요 말이라
Yeah.
동해 유래 쪽으로 와야 돼 대화 줍고요 대외의 유대 다좀 샤고 와라 근데 송도와 좀
Shantideva. So the second reasoning is that in terms of bliss, as Shantideva says, although not wanting to suffer, we race to create the causes of it. And although wanting to experience bliss like an enemy, we destroy the causes for bliss. So, we want that bliss, but we don't create the causes.
이 준준나라 아니 망도 쉐바 따지면 와 계절 망부 쉐바 말했다.
Yeah.
지바라는 게 되죠. 투바신이 된 디니진의 겨도 지바라는서 당 안한 소이나 아니 란된짠짠 상노단데 왠자 가리 연구도 안 들어와 동행전전 연대기도 왔어. 아니 도바 산제 좀 된데다 되죠. 네 계획 라마 되죠. 근데 디지 짠짠 용해도 가서나 신된 바식 제대로 되네. 중어레스는 신변 전주쌤데 내가 그 디지 들었네 용거래. 다도 그 디지 들었네 용거래. 네 딥딥 장야다 코로나에 전주쌤. 선언서에는 전주쌤라래 들으려고. 다 디조디 추게다. 추기 닝보러지. 아니 다지 최단 저 가지던 말이나 근데 세다가라래 sembasamboje midila thogoma ro lega yawa sambajiwa harina doga subudewa ro ludewa semdewa sangmadowa chede le jawa chama ge jama shero tawada tamjejima pasha sedagana sembasambo chanju semde yuna niko harine ji lungamdewa dang thogoma dang harine ji pusumsobo yondeodi tangosum지 ngazo mi sembasambodel에 yonde 통구다라
And Shantideva also says, not need to say much, that children work for their own ends and look at the resultant suffering, whereas Buddhas and Lamas, the holy beings, work tirelessly for others and get the result of great bliss. Here, children are likened to ordinary beings who out of self-cherishing just work for their own ends, whereas the Buddhas and Lamas, through their altruism, they get the result of well-being through the beneficial intent of bodhicitta. So what it's saying is the essence of the Dharma, bodhicitta, is the source of temporal ultimate bliss. Not only that, when you have that altruism, you purify obscurations, you collect a vast store of merit. So that is the essence of Dharma. That's why bodhicitta is said to be the essence of Dharma. But also, let's leave alone thinking of future lives. Just in this life, the person who's more concerned for others than themselves and thinks on bodhicitta is happier, healthier, has more friends. So this we can directly see through our experience.
근데 자와데 근데 니중 chanjusim jigo junze 니중 태야 남다 셈지지스로 니중 태고는 니중 셰송아
Yep.
근데 거기 분절에 이미 기지되면 얘는 니중 개월에서 니중디 남다 셈지 chanju게 셈게 셈마면은 아니 분조 대회 주름에 주서 푸순석에 대회 주 조금 알아서로
Yeah.
김제된데 인자 론단 덴반 남지에서 땅원에게 미장보다 미총보지나 chanju semje 그래서 땅원에게 미장보다 고보 총보를 봐 원에 스마트이나 다 chanju semje 그래서잖아
The verse that alludes to this renunciation, though, can never bring the total bliss of matchless Buddhahood alone, unless it's bound together with the purest wish. And so the wise seek the highest wish for enlightenment. The reason being that if you are wise and smart and intelligent, you will, cultivate that bodhicitta because it results in Buddhahood, not just temporal liberation.
뭐야 다 드린건다 다 제공되나 아니 지 타버스니데 간데서 지 토비야지 유다메 담나다 아니 신변이 셈디다 언제 메제나라 계좀 가가지 이미 Tini tola ya ani desi samlo text down to be na ya we resro.
So tonight we should reflect on, like for a reflection meditation, what is liberation and can one obtain it or not? And secondly, what is bodhicitta and how to get it?
Oye, ta de shawra.
We'll stop for today.
Danda di lamzun di ma jik chona inji do jik tuen shena ya wudo.
Ale nyamdu ele.
Nyamdo jik tuen shena. Chajik lo shena.
So one time we should recite the text together before we end. Bow down, holy lamas. As far as I'm able, I'll explain the essence of all high teachings of the victors, the path of all the sons commend, the entry point for the fortunate seeking freedom. Listen with pure mind, fortunate ones, who have no craving for the pleasures of this.
You have faith for fortune many turn their heads.
Which pleases the victors. There's no way to end without pure renunciation. The striving for pleasant results in the ocean of life. It's because of their hankering as well the beings fettered. So seek renunciation first. Leisure and fortune are hard to find. Life is not long. Think on it constantly. Stop desire for this life.
Think over and over how
Deeds and their fruits never fail, and the cycle of suffering. Stop desire for the future. When you've meditated thus and feel not even a moment's wish for the things of this life, and when you begin to think both day and night, you found renunciation. Though it can never bring the total, unless it's bound by the purest wish.
and so the wise
They're swept along the four fears, chained up and past deeds hard to undo, stuffed in a steel cage, grasping itself, smothered in the pitch black of ignorance. In a limitless round they're born, and in their births they're tortured by such sufferings without break. Think how your mothers feel. Think of what's happening to them. Try to develop this highest wish. You may master renunciation and the wish, but unless you have the wisdom perceiving reality, you cannot cut the root of cyclic existence. If it's those that perceive interdependence, a person's entered in the path that pleases the Buddhas, when for all objects of the cycle of beyond, he sees that cause and effect can never fail, and when for him they lose all solid appearance, you get to realize the thought of the idea, as long as the two ideas seem to
the appearance of things infallible interdependence, and emptiness beyond taking any position. At some point they no longer alternate and come together.
just seeing that interdependence never fails brings realization that destroys how you hold on. And then your analysis of the view is complete.
The appearance prevents the existence of strength. Emptiness is that non-existence, and if you see how emptiness shows in cause and effect,
You'll never be stolen off by extreme views. When you've grasped as well as essential points of each of
the three principal paths explained,
then go into isolation, my son, and make mighty efforts.
and quickly win your ultimate wish. Page 31 in the orange book with the short mandala.
Pashin Jishim Metatram Rira Blingshin Nitekim Pati
Sanje jende mende roa yin drupa nanda shin la chu.
Jetsa lama
Kuserapte